The Day Before is an open-world MMO survival video game that is being developed by Fntastic and published by Mytona. The game was announced in January of 2021 and has already gathered a lot of positive fan reactions and anticipation for the project. Let's break down the reveal, trailers, gameplay, and more. As always, all the sources will be linked in the description below, so make sure to check those out and support those original writers. And with that out of the way, let's get into everything we know about The Day Before. The game was officially revealed by IGN in January of 2021. They had the exclusive first look. The trailer was a very scripted look at the game. It included a basic look at this city environment, which can be traversed using a car in this trailer, where players are able to loot cars and buildings while exploring. The player will also encounter other players and zombies, which they can decide to fight or ignore. The team wanted to emphasize the focus on PvE and PvP gameplay, which is a standard a lot of times in these modern games. Right away, the game was being described as a mix between The Division and The Last of Us, and there was a healthy amount of skepticism from fans who think the game will most likely be very different than this trailer. The official website was launched around this time as well, which included the first description of the game, which says, quote, "Welcome to The Day Before, an open-world MMO survival set in a deadly post-pandemic America overrun by flesh-hungry infected and survivors killing each other for food, weapons, and cars. You wake up alone in a world you no longer remember, setting out to find answers and the resources to survive." Along with a small description for colonies, which says take part in the restoration of the former society before it's too late. In the survivor colony, you can sell your loot and communicate safely with other players. The final piece of reveal news was that the game was announced as launching sometime in 2021, and the only revealed platform was for PC. The social media team also released this video of actors creating the sounds for the zombies. There's no real reason to show it, but also why not? For the next few months, the team worked with IGN and slowly released more gameplay and trailers for the game. The first video we will talk about was released in February of 2021 during IGN FanFest. More combat gameplay was shown off for The Day Before, along with an exclusive developer interview. The gameplay is what you would expect, and to me is similar to the gameplay from the reveal trailer. This time they show more cooperation and end with an armored vehicle. Most of the information I want to talk about comes from the IGN interview. The first detail the team talks about is the idea of colonies. They say, quote, "There will be places of safety, namely the Woodbury Survivor Colony, where players can interact with other players, join groups, talk to some residents, take quests, and have fun. We have an idea to make various events inside the colony during the holidays so that the players get closer to each other and spend time celebrating the holidays together. As the new trailer shows, you will also be able to find brief bits of respite in more hostile territory to camp, sleep, cook, and generally relax before heading back out into a brutal world." Fntastic continued on and discussed some of their inspirations for base building in the game. They say, quote, "As for actual base building itself, the developers explain that classic resource-based building a hut out of stones and sticks is not so much what inspires them as something more akin to Nintendo's Animal Crossing. In The Day Before, we have the concept of a base different from other MMO survival games. As a hint, we really like the concept in that cute game where there is a greedy raccoon boss." They go on to mention the game will not have a traditional HUD in-game, and players will instead be encouraged to utilize the sound design to assess threats. And finally, they mentioned the game will have multiple takedowns like the one shown off in the trailer, which could change depending on the weapon or involve healing or tying up the player. The tied up player could then be used as bait for zombies, so there will be a lot of choice and variety. Moving on, in March of 2021, the social media team challenged fans to reach a certain number of favorites on a tweet, and if accomplished, they would release an additional gameplay teaser. The likes reached 10,000, so the team released a 30-second off-road vehicle gameplay teaser. This gives fans an idea of what the world is like outside of cities, and traveling won't be as seamless as in other open world games. We get a look at the fuel gauge for the car, which fans will have to pay attention to as well. The next series of stories I want to cover are from a variety of interviews done with gaming news publications, and the first interview I will break down is with Gaming Bolt. I'm just going to cover the highlights, but the entire interview will be linked down below if you are interested. The first information is that the Woodbury Survivor Colony might include a reputation system within the colony that the team is testing right now. So activities will affect the story and the colony. The team promises more information on this system in the future. Also, the day before will try to be as realistic with the loot as possible. There will be no rarity or colored items, but different gear will have different effects. The example provided says a bulletproof vest will only save you from a pistol shot, and boots will not give any protection, which will help immerse the player in the world. As for vehicles, traveling off-road is possible, which was shown off in that earlier trailer, but players need to be careful with this type of travel. It is possible for your car to get stuck, and it will make you easy prey. Filling up the gas of the car won't be easier either, and will require the player to get out of the car and use a canister to fill the tank from the outside. The same principle will be applied when the car needs to be repaired, and it sounds like once again the team is trying to keep it as realistic to an extent as possible. A few smaller details are that the game will include human NPCs in the world outside of safe areas. Carrying too much equipment will cause your player to make more noise than a player carrying less equipment. The game will also not have any loading screens when traversing the world, and Fantastic does say they want to have a very small pre-launch beta. Also, they say they are considering releasing the game on next-generation consoles, but have no announcement to make currently. The team says they have many cool ideas for post-launch content for the game, including holiday events, new locations, weapons, skins, and cars, all of which are just some of the ideas they have so far. One answer I didn't like was about the trailers the team has released so far and if the footage was part of the actual game, and is what the final game will look like. The team responded saying, quote, "We intend to take the survival MMO genre to a whole new level. We are constantly improving the game, including graphics and animations. Every week our team makes new breakthroughs in order to give players the highest quality game, so the final game will be much better." It might be an issue with translating or potentially the question, but I don't like that answer, and it isn't reassuring in the slightest that everything they have shown off so far might be highly edited and scripted, but we will just have to wait and see, and I will touch on that a little bit later. The final relevant question was about endgame content and raids or dungeons in-game, and the team said that the corridor at the end of their last trailer was teasing a large laboratory complex that will be a PvE area, which is supposedly a dungeon or raid, or whatever the equivalent will be in this game. The other interview I want to cover this time is from WCCF Tech. There was some overlap between the questions, but a few new ones were asked. The first question I want to cover is in regards to server capacity, and they asked the developers how many players will be in a single instance. The team said, quote, "We have a very flexible server system. We're still testing the best number of players for the best possible experience in the day before." Moving on, the team said that the dynamic time of day and weather system will impact gameplay. The wind will muffle the player sounds and can let players explore the most dangerous areas, but a storm can be dangerous for even the most equipped players. So regardless of weather, players will have to pay attention. And the final two pieces of information is that there will be no leveling in game. Each player will be on equal terms regardless of if they are a new player or someone who has put in a lot of time. And honestly, I'm not sure how this is going to work and if this idea even makes any sense, but I'm going to give the team the benefit of the doubt. And lastly, the team is working on their own take of the traditional clan system, which they aren't ready to talk about yet. There were a few miscellaneous facts from other interviews, the first being that players will monitor 3 different on-screen gauges that show energy, temperature, and dehydration, all of which will have to be controlled or the player will have consequences. There will be different options for scavenged resources. They can either be sold or used to craft. Also, there will be leisure and luxury items, which will have their own benefits and uses. And finally, the game is said to have an offline mode, which will allow players to experience the game without any other players, which is a big deal for solo players or people who just want to experience the world and story. Before we get into the release date announcement, in April of 2021, IGN released the biggest look at the game yet in a 13-minute video. It includes more exploration, crafting, and combat. There's nothing else I want to mention from that video, but it happened around this same time period, so I will include that down below if you are interested. Moving on, in October of 2021, IGN released the official release date trailer for the game, which included a more in-depth look at the social space in-game, where players will be able to interact with each other in a non-threatening way. We get a quick glimpse at base customization, along with weapon customization, all of which looks promising if the team can deliver on what they're showing off. Finally, the trailer closes by announcing the game will launch for the Xbox Series X and PS5 at some point after the PC launch, and the day before will be launching on PC on June 21st, 2022. And the final trailer I will mention was released in January of 2022 and was meant to show off the game's visuals when NVIDIA's RTX is applied. It's another 4K gameplay trailer and is focused on the visuals fans can expect from the game with higher end PCs. Now, I want to close out this video by discussing if the day before is a scam, and if the game will actually end up being anything like the team has promised and showed off so far. The discussion has ranged from the amount of zombies that will be generated within the world at once, because so far, besides the first trailer, the gameplay only shows a few. The team still hasn't given more details on server capacity and has dodged questions about the visuals. The small team was also able to develop a whole new game during the development of this project, and the team has said the game has only been in development for 2 years, all of which would be very out of the norm for a lot of bigger standard studios. And that is a very quick turnaround for a game of this size and scope. It's not impossible that this game will be everything fans want and more, but I think everyone should view this title with some healthy skepticism. Force Gaming made a video that covers the topic much more in depth on his channel, and everyone who is even moderately interested in this title should watch his video. He goes more into the development history of the studio and other worries that fans have. Either way, that is everything we know about the day before. Hopefully this game can live up to fan expectations and will be the next great survival action game and will be a major success for this up and coming studio, but we will just have to wait and see. Either way, make sure to like and share this video, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.